Hey, Dr. Gonzalez, the stream is good. Feel free to take it away whenever you'd like.
Okay, thank you very much. So welcome to an engineering session of the REYES program. My name is Oscar Gonzalez. I am the chair of the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering at Old Dominion University. Today, I really have a great pleasure of introducing two very experienced engineers that are committed to the success of the next generation of engineers. They're going to talk about their path to obtaining their engineering degree. They're not going to scare you, but they're going to prepare you to succeed in that path. So I'm really looking forward to hear their experiences. And I hope you are too. And if you have friends that might be interested in studying engineering, this is the time to text and tell them, quick, join Reyes right now. So we're about to start. So they're going to talk about resilience through adversity. They'll explain what that means, and they'll tell us about their journeys to obtaining their engineering degrees. First, we have Oliver Aguilar. He's the current deputy director of the Enterprise Transformation Office at Newport News Shipbuilding, which is part of Huntington Ingalls Industries. If you're local to Norfolk area, Hampton Roads area, you know about Newport News Shipbuilding, major enterprise here. He obtained his Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering and then moved on to get a Master of Science in Engineering Management from Florida Institute of Technology. The first degree was from here, from ODU. He has more than 20 years of experience, and he's focused on supporting and motivating the next generation of engineers and scientists, which is you guys. Then Corey Freeman Scott, another illustrious engineer. He is the founder and league commissioner of the National Engineering League, which is focused on you guys. How do we prepare the next generation of engineers? Corey graduated locally from Warwick High School, and he obtained his, he finished his Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering from Old Dominion University, and he has a statement in his bio that is quite significant. He has participated while at ODU and at Christopher Newport University in many cooperative and internship programs. Here I see 16 co-op semesters and 3 internships. That's phenomenal. Experience is very, very important to know what you want to do when you get out with your diploma, and that experience will open many doors. So I don't want to say much more. Just looking forward to hear from both Oliver and Corey. So thank you very much. I'll let you guys start. Oliver, please unmute yourself and you can start.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. I really appreciate the introduction. I'm really looking forward to this discussion. And, the format here is Corey and I are going to kind of share some of the lessons that we have in the resilience through adversity, kind of go through that as well. So, Corey, if you can go to the next slide. I wanted to start with the audience to give a little bit of background about Corey and myself. We both I come from a different country. Corey was actually born and raised here in the United States, but we both go through what I will quote as a very similar type adversity to get to a uncommon journey to higher education. I migrated to the United States as a teenager, during which El Salvador, where I come from, was going through a civil war. And at that point, I was actually in the midst of actually being, quote unquote, recruited into going to war at the tender age of 11 and my brother of 9. We moved to the United States to seek a better opportunity and better life for ourselves, leaving everything behind, family and friends. When we came to the United States, we actually encountered a language barrier, so we really didn't know how to speak English at all. And then, through my high school career, after I became proficient in the English language, was doing very well in my studies. I also became homeless at the age of 16, which kind of forced me to do a little bit of growing up earlier in my life, and kind of try to make ends meet for myself and my family. I am the first generation college graduate, so that in itself has its own pressures associated with it that we'll get into a little bit more detail on it. But I just wanted to give a little brief background on myself to kind of set the tone of some of the things that we're going to talk about. Corey, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, can you guys hear
Maybe.
me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So like my colleague and good friend, Mr. Aguilar, I also am a first generation college student. As he stated, I was born in downtown Newport News. And, just to be honest with you guys, it was a poor, impoverished neighborhood and not a lot of hope besides education, right? So I kind of use education to kind of get out of that environment. The difficult part about my upbringing is that family support kind of wasn't there. My father wasn't there. So
We
there's
lost you,
just
Corey.
some generational barriers. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm fading in and out. Sorry about that. But like Oliver was saying, there are some challenges that we all face, generational barriers that sometimes we can't see, you cannot see. Mine come from the lack of family support and really just low expectations of what I could be as a professional. So that's where the engineering journey began. And we'll kind of tell you some of the other hurdles that we had to jump through to make it happen.
So go to the next slide, Corey.
Okay, can you see it?
Now, can you advance this slide?
Okay, right here.
Now, I'm seeing it's still on the background slide.
Okay, something's going on. Maybe you can share, Oliver. Something's going on my computer. Sorry about that.
Is there?
Okay.
Yep, thank you. So our college experience, like Dr. Gonzalez says, we really don't want to scare you, but we really want to share the lessons that we have actually experienced through college. The reason why we do this really is twofold. One is because now looking back, hindsight's 2020, looking back, we really wish we had people along the way to kind of help us through navigate college. As we both mentioned, we're first generation college graduates. So the family support and the understanding of what it takes to get through college really wasn't there. Specifically for, my side of the family, Latino family, a lot of the times the emphasis is on work to support the family. And going to school, although it's encouraged, highly encouraged to make something better of yourself, there's also the lack of understanding of what it takes to actually get through school. Specifically on a STEM field, which are very rigorous in nature. So I mentioned, I was homeless at the age of 16. I actually finished high school, and although I had been accepted to several colleges, I couldn't really attend any of them because I really didn't have the means to get to school. So I took a year off right after high school to work full time to earn sufficient money to actually start my first semester at ODU, which I'm really glad that I did because it provided me a really valuable experience at a small classroom setting with professors that really care about the outcome of the person that was actually going through the career. Back then, I graduated in 2001, so we're talking 90s. ODU was mainly around the area considered a commuter school, and as such, both Corey and I were essentially just commuters coming in and out. It was just strictly a transactional thing for our college experience, where we went to school to take courses and we went back home to work and do our own things and study some more and then return to school. We really didn't have not a whole lot of college activity involvement or experience with it. So as I mentioned before, there really wasn't any role models associated with it as well. So we were essentially navigating this on our own and trying to figure things out as we went. Even as I work as a dishwasher, and then I moved up to be a sous chef in one of the restaurants, there really wasn't a whole lot of people that can actually support what you were actually doing. And some thought it was a little nutty that I was actually pursuing an engineering degree because the math to them looked like actually spelling rather than actual numbers. But that was an interesting aspect of actually getting to know and understand the engineering curriculum that other people don't really have the perspective of. It was a difficult transition from high school to college. I mentioned that because, my experience was in high school. I breezed through it. I love learning. I love the environment. So there wasn't a whole lot of effort on my part to actually absorb the material at the high school level to make me successful. However, when you get into college, that is a totally different experience, and the expectations of you at the college level are totally different than high school. My first experience when I got to school was to college at ODU was, I actually had my first experience of a failing grade in one of the math courses. And that was a rude awakening for me because throughout my entire educational life, I never really had a failing grade per se. I was always an A and B type person. And so having that was quite an eye-opening experience for me. And not only that, but just the fact that there wasn't really a way for me to justify why I had failed it, besides the fact that it was discipline and determination on my part, which we'll get into a little bit later. And because of all that, to be honest with you, engineering, and I'm sure every other STEM careers, medical school and things like that, has a quote unquote filtering process, I think, that is never really mentioned, but it's the make or break level. And for me, it happened around my junior year, where courses just started to get increasingly difficult. The level of understanding and the buildup of all the math and sciences that you have captured, not only in high school, but in the 2 years leading up to the junior year, really became a conglomeration of things that I needed to essentially hone down and become proficient at. It was increasingly hard for me to do things, to focus strictly 100% in college, because I was on my own. I was paying my own way through school. I was working full time and trying to essentially look after my brother and mother at the same time. So because of the difficulty in that, I really entertained changing majors at one point. But it really took a lot for me to do some self-reflection and evaluate why I was really doing engineering. I love it, the engineering field. I love solving complex problems with math and science. And at the end of the day, I think I was taking an easy way out. So my self-talk was, I didn't come all this way to the United States to make a difference, to essentially give up on a dream that I had. So what that allowed me to do was to refocus and recenter in really what was important. And at that point, I was focused on trying to make ends meet, but at the same time, I'm realizing that the future legacy laid ahead of me. Should I maintain focus on my engineering career? And all that kind of leads to the imposter syndrome that maybe some of you have heard about. And it's that sometimes you really don't feel like you fit in because you're kind of doing this on your own. You really don't have resources to bounce ideas off or to speak about potential personal problems or personal challenges that you may have. So you feel like you don't belong within the career. And Corey and I are here to tell you that is totally the opposite of that. But I'll let Corey kind of provide you with some of the perspective on his college career as we kind of share some of the similarities as we, became friends and met each other through an internship at Siemens Automotive. Corey, can you share some of your thoughts with the audience, please?
Yes, sir. Can you guys see me okay and hear
Yes.
me? Okay. So, hey, engineering never goes away. Have some technical difficulties today, but we're still making it happen. So like Oliver was saying, I became an engineer, I think in my senior year when I was afforded a full academic scholarship with the Department of Energy. So it paid for everything. There I was, a kid growing up in the projects in Newport News. Father wasn't around, in a impoverished neighborhood, and I was awarded a full scholarship. There was only one problem. My family wasn't really prepared to understand what kind of blessing I had, and the required signatures needed for me to take advantage of the opportunity, it didn't happen. My mom flat out said, I don't know anything about engineering, and I'm not going to be able to make that happen for you. So, let me plug up right quick. See, my battery about to lose on charge here. Give me one sec. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So it's like my engineering career started there. I had to figure out what exactly I was going to be doing and how was I going to make it happen. So eventually, I ended up getting an internship working at a company called Siemens by Mount Olivet and started my 14 or 16 co-op experiences and eventually figured out a plan to make it happen. All right. So that's kind of what it is. There are certain challenges that I had to overcome as far, just like Oliver did, in order to become an engineer, you know? So when I go to work and when he goes to work, we put a lot of quality and thought and put a signature on all of our products because we want to make sure it's done right because we had to work so hard just to get to this environment and this opportunity. All right. So Oliver, if you want to go into some of the lessons learned and keys to successes.
Yes, sir. Thanks for sharing that, Corey. As Corey mentioned, I think and I'll get into this a little bit, but really the key to success, and I mentioned in the early part, is just discipline. Once you get into engineering, I really did not realize the rigor that it takes to actually make it through the engineering field. It is a rewarding career. I have loved every single minute of it and continue to do so. But at the time that I was going through it, it was a challenging curriculum for me. But once I recognized that I needed to essentially devote a little bit more effort than what I was doing to make it through and become successful at it, discipline became a core tenet of mine to essentially say, unless I'm disciplined, I'm not going to make it through this. And that became a rally call for me to actually make it through school. Don't be too hard on yourself. I think it's one of those things that I wanted to mention because I think we tend to be our worst critics when we go through something like this. We are, from an outside perspective, looking at somebody else maybe, would have been told me, Oliver, you're putting yourself through engineering school, you're working full time, you're trying to make ends meet, you're on your own. But at the same time, I wasn't looking at that. I was looking at that I wasn't doing well in school. I was not full transparency. I was not just straight A student, engineering student. But I worked really hard to actually get those good grades in engineering school. And not only that, but build the level of understanding needed to essentially build on those courses so that when those challenging senior level courses came into play, I was able to be successful at them. So don't beat yourself up throughout your career. Take some moment to reflect on what it is that you're doing and the things that are essentially piled on top of you besides educational things to give you some pause and reflection on that. Time management is critical. I think you're not only going to see this in education, as you may be seeing it in high school, but you're going to see it through college. And more importantly, you're going to see it in your professional career. There is nothing more critical than time management. As you enter your engineering profession, time, everybody will want something from you, and you need to be able to prioritize and manage your time accordingly, not only from your professional perspective, but also from your work-life balance, right? You need to be able to not only devote time to work, but also devote time to yourself and your family. The office hours here, really, my experience at ODU was that the professors there were fully devoted to seeing you succeed. Their office hours are always available. They post them. It is not a gimmick. Take advantage of those to go speak to them, to talk to them about the challenges that you have in their courses and classes. And you will be surprised of how engaged they are to making you succeed and providing you with some additional tools to help you succeed in their classes. They are there for a reason. They are passionate about what they do, and they love to pass on that knowledge to the students. But at the same time, there's a little bit of initiative on your part as well. For me, a peer study group was essentially the differentiator in my college career when I actually started meeting with my peers and studying together. Earlier on in my college career, I was essentially flying solo, thinking that I can do it myself without realizing the benefit, that not only the benefit from studying, but the social aspects of things and the challenges. How misery loves company. So having somebody that you can share your challenges that you have is invaluable. So whenever you can find your peer study groups, I happen to find it later on in my college. The earlier you can find them, the earlier you can find and build those relationships, the better you will be and more successful you will be in your college career. And, both Corey and I, we actually met at an internship opportunity at Siemens Automotive. I cannot speak any more highly to actually get an internship or a co-op opportunity while you're in school. It provides you not only a way to build your leadership skills, but it also allows you to apply what you're learning in school in the industrial environment. You make those connections fairly easily once you have those co-ops than you will be from just a theoretical perspective. Having those internships are valuable. And quite honestly, now that I'm a hiring manager, it is a differentiator between hiring somebody straight out of school and hiring somebody that's been in school and has done several internship opportunities. They have already demonstrated that they can have those leadership capabilities in the application of the work. So I will be more apt to actually hire somebody who has an internship opportunity. All things considered, their resume is equivalent, but that's the differentiator of it. Sometimes that makes a difference. Mentors, my goodness, those are your guiding lights throughout all this. And that's why Corey and I actually do things like this, is because we want to be those mentors what we really didn't have when we were going through all of it. So we make ourselves accessible to everyone who wants to talk to us, who is willing to listen, and so that we can share our lessons learned of this. And really some extracurricular activities. I think, all work and no play make Johnny a dull boy. It is a regimented curriculum. It is rigorous going through the engineering, but at the same time, you need some extracurricular activities to keep your mind and keep you centered on what's really important. The workload and the rigor of the courses can get to you. So you need some ways, some outlets to actually release some of that energy, some of that stress, whether that is, socializing with your friends, going hiking, or doing whatever. Take some time for yourself to actually do something that will take your mind off of the stress that may potentially be there. Corey, anything?
Yeah, I'd like to comment, piggyback on what Oliver said as far as building positive peer relationships and friends. So you're actually looking at an extension of a peer relationship and a mentorship that started back in, I think, 2001, Oliver, right? When we were working together. Because Oliver was actually one of my mentors. He was a senior. I think I was a junior. And he encouraged me to keep going when it got hard. He told me he was doing it and the struggles he went through. And that really encouraged me to go ahead and finish up the program, So one day they don't teach you in school, and I'm sure your parents are always telling you, watch who you hang with, make sure you surround yourself with positive people, and build positive relationships, sustainable relationships that can help, benefit you and the other individual in the long run. So kind of watch who you're hanging with out here and make, great decisions and wise decisions. Oliver talked about internship. Let's see if we can go to the next slide here. I don't see it advancing. There it is. Okay. So one thing that I decided to do and get some of my colleagues like Oliver along board with and, steer some of the initiatives is just try to give back as much as we can. Okay. We already told you about some of the adversities that we went through, just trying to become engineers and going through the rigor of the program and, lack of some of the support and resources there. So we wanted to say, hey, we made it. So we need to create opportunities for other people to make it as well. So the National Engineering League is an organization that we came up with, and it consists of a lot of different things, right? Those mentors that we wish we'd had coming up, we got an advisory team, people stemming from the government to private industry. We got helicopter pilots, app developers, physicists, quality managers, you name it. We got the resources there for students that get into the program to be able to get the proper mentorship so they can be successful. All right. No one just is born and then eventually they become a president or a doctor or a scientist or a physicist. It takes development. It takes a lot of exposure and it takes the proper resources. So some of the bullets we got here, we try to create internships and co-op opportunities with some of our partner companies. So a student can, either for the summer or for fall or spring semester, get some experience and make some money sometimes, just to be able to build their resume up and become more marketable to society. All right. Mentors, we talked about those, and just engineering competitions. Right now, we're currently going to be doing a partnership with the Atlanta Public School Systems. They have a Global Impact Academy, and we're going to start competing with other students in the nation, just to try to understand what engineering is and promote it a little bit more, show the fun aspects of it, ultimately show how to prepare for it. Let's see here. I think we got a little lag, but I'll start talking about the motivation portion of it. I'm going to read the mission of the National Engineering League right quick. We want to serve as a premier league of engineering and scientific students, professionals, consultants, and humanitarians. I stress humanitarians, because at the end of the day, that's what Oliver and I are. We're humanitarians committed to increasing the number of STEM professionals being produced globally. All right. So again, we highlight STEM educators, because the teachers are the ones that give us the fundamental knowledge that we need to become professional engineers. We have student ambassadorship, training leaders early, putting them in leadership positions so they can start leading, start understanding some of the challenges that are there, and not just being in the crowd. You want to stand out from the crowd and, developing those leadership skills early. We also deal with international students, international career outreach. We got students over in Uganda where we only not try to provide them with the resources they need, like computers and transportation and, stuff like that, and tuition payments. But we also just try to give them hope and encouragement that they can do it. Now, American students, we have a lot more resources over here than other countries. Of course, we want to take care of our own first, but there are also other hungry students that need a chance as well. Look at a product of someone who wasn't necessarily born in the United States, but he's definitely an American citizen contributing to society, Mr. Aguilar. So it's like people are people. At the end of the day, we say we all humanitarians, and we need to help each other get to where they got to get to and provide hope. That's why we do the annual NEL honors and awards presentations, where we highlight high school students committing to the careers of engineering based off their GPA and their commitment in the community to some of the community service activities they're doing. So, we want to help also do some community re-engineering, because a lot of problems that Oliver and I are talking about outside of school has something to do with something being internally broke in the community, as far as kids, parents, teachers, educators, and just leaders being able to pull together to make sure that our students are on the right track to become successful. So collectively, that's just a highlight of what we do to try to motivate, try to give back, ultimately give exposure by trying to eliminate the digital divide, just career mentorship, and really helping students build a professional resume up that they can utilize to become successful in society. And I think we're still lagging a little bit, Oliver, but let me see if we can get to that last slide, man. Okay, there we go.
Thanks, Corey. I appreciate that input. As you guys can see, Corey and I have been working hard on this NEL. Corey really is the spearheader and the brain behind it. He has been a tremendous source of inspiration, not only to myself, but to a lot of other individuals who are going through this. There is a significant increase in importance in actually reaching out to the communities and making an impact out there to actually build the next generation of leaders, across not only here in the United States, but globally as well, as Corey has mentioned. So why we do what we do, I have a little banner there, probably more than a banner, more of a mission statement, is that we want to be the leaders we wish we had when we were on the journey to where we are today. What we believe is that by helping others and sharing our experiences, we can create a growing community of equal practitioners, humanitarians, as Corey mentioned it, as probably the better term, invested in the growth and development of those seeking an honorable path within the STEM field. But more importantly, we want to encourage those like us that at one point they did not see themselves as scientists, architects, engineers, doctors, lawyers, etc., that we want to share experiences as a testament that it is possible. You can make a difference. You can go through the process. You can get that that honorable education and do well in it, and that you can make a difference, and that we can be the change we want to see in the world. It's you know, it's not a panacea. It's something that we truly, honestly believe in, and we really want to make a difference in that. And that's one of the reasons why we do something like this. We don't want to scare folks, but we want to be real with them. We want to be real that there is challenges ahead of us, specifically on the minority community, where that may potentially not have the support system that it has. At-risk students who are as brilliant as any other students out there, but don't have the support and mentoring structure associated with them, that we can reach out to them and make a difference. And if we can actually make a difference in one person at a time, then both Corey and we're calling that a success. But we really want to do more to it than that. Corey, I don't know if you want to add anything else to that.
Yeah, I just want to say, if you look at me, you look at Oliver, and I can speak for myself, I'm one of thousands of students that grew up in my neighborhood that actually got out of that environment and actually became a professional and was able to become a positive contributor to society. Was I the smartest person? No. There were several guys and females smarter than me, right? The family support that I did have in the guidance, they didn't have that, right? So in a nutshell, there are thousands of kids that didn't reach their potential. They either went to jail or got into criminal activities early because they didn't really quite understand what options they had, even within the field of STEM. And they didn't have the right exposure and guidance early. There's no telling what these kids could have been, right? So because I made it out of that situation, I'm going to make sure that I put something in place long term, even after I'm gone, Oliver and I are gone, and our grandkids are running stuff, to make sure that kids have opportunities, they have hope, and they know what their options are. And we're doing our part to prepare them for those opportunities. So that's why we're here today, to speak to you guys and ladies. And, we're ready to work with you. Oliver?
Yeah, thanks, Corey. I just wanted to thank ODU for the opportunity to do this, and for those attending for the honor of listening to what we have to say. We really, truly appreciate it. Dr. Gonzalez, we turn it over to you. That's our wrap up of the presentation.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for your insight on very, very powerful comments from both you, Oliver, and Scott. This is a time where students can start posting questions. We're already starting to get some questions. So let me just go ahead and start. The first one might have already been answered, but Scott, could an international student seek mentors from NEL? How do they go about that?
We have a webpage, which is www.natengleague. We can send that out afterwards. I think it's on one of the slides. What was that?
This one at the bottom.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's it right there.
I'm controlling the slides, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I'm the delay.
There's a membership section. So if parents, teachers, students, if you want to go and get some more information, check out the webpage. Also look for the membership section and fill out the little small entry form, and our membership team will get back in contact with you to make sure that whatever resources we have that can benefit you, you can utilize them.
Okay. Next question. Do you guys feel comfortable sharing your email address with the audience, or how can the audience follow up if they want to follow up with you guys?
Yeah, I definitely
absolutely.
Go ahead, Oliver.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have a problem sharing my email or contact information. As I mentioned before, we are here to help those students, and we can help in any way. Just let us know.
Okay.
I don't have a problem either. So please share my information.
Okay, so I'll post them in the chat in a little bit.
Okay. I do have one comment real quick.
Go ahead.
I think sometimes certain individuals and young people get left in the dark because no one's paying too close of attention to them. So I'm challenging, if there are any leaders online, community leaders, teachers, principals, parents, or even students that, can you keep a close eye out on some of these students that really have potential to get into math, to science, and engineering? All right. And we're trying to create a pipeline starting from kindergarten all the way up to college to make sure that we can get these students the resources that they need whether it's technology resources, motivation, financial resources, whatever it is. So keep your eyes open and feel free to use that contact link that we're going to give you, emails, and just let us know how can we help.
Okay. So I think I just sent the email addresses to everybody in the chat window. Hopefully everybody can see that. While people are recording them, you guys have spoken about your path once you were already in the universities. But how do you choose a major? How do you know you are destined to be an engineer? What triggered that the light?
You want to go first?
I'll start. For me, quite honestly, there really never was a per se. I come from a very humble beginning, so there really wasn't a mentor or anything to look up to. We knew what lawyers and engineers and things like that were, but we never really knew the path to get there. For me, it was one of those things that I had a teacher in high school that knew that I was good at problem solving, utilizing math and science degrees. And so he got me involved in Technical Student Association in high school and Chrome as well. That actually piqued my interest into that and actually helped me decide that that's really what I wanted to go do in college. But it really took somebody to take a vested interest in me to actually identify that those were strengths that I have and that could potentially be a good engineer should I pursue that career. Corey?
That's interesting because I was in Chrome too, Oliver. I never knew you were in Chrome, man. I actually got a scholarship through ODU in Chrome. But could we go up? Let me see. Could we go forward one slide? Because we talk about the teacher appreciation. 2 more and forward. 1, 2. Keep going.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go the other way. Yeah. 1 more. Okay. STEM. Go back, Oliver. It's the STEM teacher educator, right? Appreciation. Yeah.
Here or
1 more.
Back one.
Right there. Yeah. Okay. Because Oliver and I, some of the team members took a look at, okay, where does the engineering journey really start at, right? Besides at home with the parents, and of course, the kids have to have a general interest in engineering. Where did it start at? For me, it was my teachers, right? My mom made sure that I made good grades and all that, but she didn't really know what was going to happen if I made good grades, as we saw. Like I got a full scholarship, and she wouldn't subsign a scholarship for me. Okay. The teachers, they didn't know what the next step was, right? So students, if you're online, if you got good teachers, math teachers, science teachers, whatever, make sure you respect them and try to learn as much as you can from them because they'll help give you the fundamentals to become engineers, scientists, whatever you want to do as you get older. And it was a teacher that brought in an engineer in our Chrome Club, Oliver, and he worked for General Motors. He was actually an engineer that worked on the drivetrain of the Corvette. And I was in 11th grade, I believe. And it was just fascinating to me that he told me because I was good in math and science, I can do the same thing. He told me how much money he was making and challenges he had and the fun stuff he was doing. He was able to be creative. So I loved the opportunity to see if I could do it as well. But my teachers really encouraged me to be all the best I could be and exposed me to what engineering was and even helped me get my first internship. So it was definitely the teachers, and we want to honor them. So that's kind of where it started at.
Excellent.
Deciding on the major, I like problem solving, and I like putting my hands on things. That's why I chose mechanical. The electrical engineer, I couldn't see the electricity. I was scared of it. But the mechanical components, I could see them. So I decided to stick with that.
That's perfectly fine. Do you have a recommendation if a student has a choice, they're in high school, say, or even middle school, what courses should they pursue that will help them get ready to see a path to engineering?
I know algebra is one course that really set the foundation for me being able to take the classes I took in high school, algebra, trig, geometry, of course, calculus. A lot of the engineering courses are based off calculus. But if you go back to the roots, it's all stemming with algebra. So if you're considering being an engineering student, make sure you get a core fundamental algebraic education and challenge yourself to really learn it. And I would say also, communication is something that we're not looking at. In order to be an effective engineer, you got to be an out-of-the-box thinker, problem solving. You definitely have to learn how to do math and apply scientific principles, but you got to be able to communicate. You got customers, You got team members. It's a diverse group you'll be working on. You know, Oliver's from a different country. I was from downtown Newport News. We ended up working together on some field train automotive field delivery systems, right? So the world is diverse. Learn how to communicate and learn how to be a team member. But I would say any type of communication courses and definitely algebra. Oliver, what do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. I think foundationally, you want those math and sciences as much as you can earlier in high school as you made that transition into college. But I would say, you know, don't discount the extracurricular clubs, right? We talk about Chrome, we talk about TSA. I actually had an engineering club at my high school. And here in Virginia, we actually have the privilege to have what we call academies that actually specialize in that. My son happens to be one of the governor's STEM academies where they specialize and expose him to the engineering fields and the application of the math and science. So always keep an eye out for those extracurricular activities, as Corey mentioned. I think those opportunities are going to allow you to apply not only the math and science that you're learning in school, but also to competitions, right? I was privileged enough to actually get an all expenses paid to an engineering competition in Orlando, Florida, my senior year, where I placed in the finals on technical writing. So again, those are another skill set, right? Not only the technical piece of it, but you also need to be able to communicate. Having those extracurricular activities and club involvement allows you to actually develop those skills before you get into college to set you up for success.
Very good.
And I will add too, just students, try to put yourselves in situations where you're becoming the problem solver. You're looking for problems and you're coming up with solutions. Always, when you come up with a problem, offer a solution as well. And don't just be the one sitting in the back watching everyone else solve problems. You be that leader, you solve the problem.
Very good. You have both talked about Chrome. Can you tell us a little more about Chrome? Maybe not everybody's familiar with Chrome. Is that a high school thing or a college thing?
Yeah, well, it definitely was I think it was not only Newport News Public Schools. It stands for Cooperating Hampton Roads Organization for Minorities in Engineering.
Okay, so
okay. I think the webpage is www.chrome.org, but it was created by minorities, I think in the early 80s, because they saw the differences between the number of minority engineers working in some of these environments. So it was a lot of industry, local industry leaders, shipyard, old company called Siemens. They kind of created internship opportunities for students. They were bringing these professionals into the classrooms. So the kind of what we're doing with the NEO, just an extension of it, but they wanted to expose the kids to what opportunities were out there and why is math and science important? Why are we going to class, doing homework, studying this stuff, right? That's what kids want to know. Why are we doing this? Because it can lead to lucrative careers, rewarding careers, and you can make a difference in society because guess what? All the products and services that you use, they come from engineering, if they work properly. I mean, even if they don't work properly, it was bad engineering, but we need people like you behind the scenes to making sure that the products are going to work. You have any experiences with Chrome, Oliver?
No, very similar. I mean, I don't think I have anything to add. I think you kind of capture it all very well.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Are there any more questions from our attendees? If not, Oliver and Scott, do you want to say some final closing remarks?
Yeah, I'll start. I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity. As you mentioned, as the intro to all this, we really don't want to scare students, but we wanted to be real with some of the challenges that you potentially see. There is a lucrative career at the end of this. There is a very rewarding career at the end of this, the journey of engineering or any STEM degree. But it takes some discipline, courage, and hard work to actually make it through. You know, both Corey and I are testaments that despite any challenges or adversity that you may encounter, you always make it at the end. And for that, I'm grateful to the College of ODU and the professors there who actually took a vested interest and make a difference in my life. I'm eternally grateful for that, Corey.
Yeah, I would like to add to what Oliver said that, you know, sometimes in life, things that are worth having, it may be a little difficult and hard, and you may face some challenges, but it's worth having at the end. Even though when I was going through college, I got good grades and I got bad grades, right? And the bad grades can shock you a little bit, but it also prepares you and shapes your character to say, you know what, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to continue. I went to school with guys that dropped out of the program because it was too hard, so to speak. Start figuring out what can you do to make things easy instead of hard? How can you simplify it? And in the words of the great Dr. Chettavetti, I don't know if he's still over at ODU, he taught thermodynamics 1 and 2, and he always said the phrase, "It's simple, really." Okay.
Mhm.
And I always wondered what he meant by that. And I think what he was saying, let's simplify things that seem like they're hard. Don't give up. You could do it. If Oliver did it, if Corey Scott did it, then you could do it as well.
Okay. Thank you very much again. I think that was a very, very useful presentation. I hope that our attendees will absorb those words of wisdom and take advantage of them. Seek a teacher that can be a good mentor at this time. Get involved in extracurricular activities and challenge yourself with math and science courses. But start with those fundamentals and don't give up. Yeah, learn from every lesson. It's the good experiences and the times that things do not work. So move on and keep on working and take advantage of everything available to you. Thank you again very much. And thank you, our attendees. There are more REYES sessions. So there this afternoon and the rest of the week. So find what is useful and interesting to you and just continue to take advantage. So thank you again for joining us for this session. Appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting us.
And Corey,
Thank you,
sorry
sir.
for calling you wrongly.
Thanks.
Okay, so let me stop the sharing.